Hey, good evening, everybody. Chris here from Fatherly Fandom. Better Call Saul Season 6 just premiered on Monday. We got 2 episodes of that show, and we're going to talk about them a little bit right here. So, Monday night, we got both Episode 1 and Episode 2 of Better Call Saul Season 6, Wine and Roses and Carrot and Stick. It looks like they're going to be doing that as the title themes this whole season. It's going to be one thing and this thing, which is really cool. I think the next one coming up after that is Rock and Hard Place, and after that is Hit and Run. The rest of the titles are to be determined, but it was great. We got to see 2 episodes this week, kind of like we're going to get to see with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So each week, I think every Monday night from now on, I'm doing this on Wednesday because I just checked out both episodes today. But from now on, moving forward with this show, I'm going to be reviewing it every Monday night. So you can join me, and I will post those up Monday nights. Leave some comments on what you think of the show, interesting tidbits, or anything you want to be read on the show. We'll go into detail. Unfortunately, my co-host Matt can't be here for this one because he's got work things and whatnot. But don't worry, he'll be here on the weekend shows. And on May 1st, we're going to be reviewing Shawshank Redemption together. It's fantastic. We're reading a lot of books and reading the writing screenplay by Frank Darabont. Check that out, May 1st, 10:30 Pacific Time, 11:30 Mountain Time, because I'm up here in Idaho, Matt's over in Colorado, so we got 2 different time zones, if you didn't know. And we'll go over more of ourselves and our background and what we're doing here, what we plan to want to accomplish with Fatherly Fandom as we go along with that. But let's go into the 2 episodes that we got here for Better Call Saul this week. So the first episode was Wine and Roses. This is the 51st episode, and it was directed by Michael Morris, and it was written by Peter Gold. In the flash forward, police seize a personal property from Saul Goodman's mansion. So you see the mansion up there. This is the first time we've seen it in the show, and I gotta say, when I was watching that, it was super elaborate. And it's exactly what you would imagine for Saul Goodman. I mean, the golden throne, literally the golden throne toilet and whatnot, and them seizing all this stuff. And it was just very poetic right at the end when they're putting that dresser drawer into the truck, and what comes out, the top of that alcohol bottle that him and Kim did their first little sneaky slip and Jimmy job with. That was really cool. And this is what I love about Vince Gilligan. His camera work and his cinematographer too. Shout out to him. They do such an amazing job with visually showing you what's going on and making it very artistic and giving you different angles of the show, different ways of viewing it that you don't normally see in other shows. I love that the most. I mean, whenever I was watching The Fly, which is the episode in Breaking Bad, just some of those things, like some of the best camera work I've seen. Like they actually had the camera set up on one of the scrubbers, and you can see it going back and forth when Jesse was scrubbing out one of the meth containers down in the basement of that laundry factory and whatnot. That's besides the point. So that souvenir falls to the ground, and in the present day, which like this was flash forward, obviously after Saul was caught and during the time of Breaking Bad and whatnot. Unfortunately, we didn't get a Gene flash forward, that black and white flash forward with him working at Cinnabon, which is something that I really was enjoying from every single season, all 5 seasons, getting to see what was going on there and building up to that tension. The last time we saw him in that timeline, as he was going to go after that person that he thinks knows who he is. Well, he does know who he is. He's pointed him out. So he's going to handle himself instead of leaving town. So that's the last we've heard of Gene at this point. I'm sure we're going to get more of that maybe in the latter half of the season. Who knows for sure what's going to hit us then. But this is the thing that they do on these final seasons of these shows. Vince Gilligan likes to kind of switch it up. This is what we got with Breaking Bad. That last season was very different than the previous seasons, and I like that. I like the switch up. It kind of puts you out of your element, so you're on edge, and it's exactly what you need to be when you're viewing this, because it's this is chaos in motion, and this is one of the fun things about this show is the chaos that we're actually seeing. So in the present day, in back in time, when we last left off of season 5 of Better Call Saul, Gus arranges for Nacho to go hide in a motel because he's leaving the compound for where the everybody got killed and whatnot. So he sets him up to hide in the hotel. Juan tells Gus that Nacho aided in killing Lalo. And then we see that Lalo made it out, and he goes to a house of people that he knows in there. And a guy that has a huge long beard, and he tells him to shave and whatnot. And then he's playing with some scissors, and he's takes part of it off and implying that he's going to kill these people. But the guy with a long beard shaves, and he looks a lot like Lalo in there. So it's presumed, and they just show you it. They don't tell you it, but it's presumed that he kills him so that he can set his body in the compound as well, so that people think that he's dead. And so where's Jimmy and Kim at? So we see Jimmy and Kim. They're at that hotel following the resolution of the Sandpiper case. And they are really wanting to ruin Howard's life now. So they come up with a elaborate plan to kind of frame him and to make people think that he's doing cocaine. And that was an awesome scene in the golf resort and whatnot, where he slips the cocaine in there. He makes a big scene. Jimmy makes a big scene. Saul Goodman makes a big scene in the golf course just to get in there and get that. It was really cool getting to see that scene. And after that, so it was also Cliff that was with Howard, and they were playing golf at that time. Cliff is the guy at the Sandpiper Crossing that Jimmy used to work for in a previous season. So after that, Lalo arrives at his home of the tenants Sylvia and Mateo. Those are the names of two people that he finds. And he moves Mateo's body to Lalo's house to be identified as Lalo's. And Lalo lets Hector know he's still alive. He calls him up, and he's about to get on that truck and cross the border up into the United States. But then Hector is able to relay with his bell that, hey, you need evidence. You need proof here. It was really cool how they did that scene, and how he stopped for a second, and how they showed the people inside the truck with all the hay and everything else, and just their reaction. And then, Lalo opens up the hay door that they have there, and is like, hey, you're gonna have to find some other way to cross the border. Here's all your money back. So he does that, and he needs that proof, and he's staying in Mexico. So that's the end of that episode, and we are wondering, what proof is he trying to get? And for me, watching that episode, going straight into the next episode, I had my theories, but I instantly was able to identify what they were wanting to get, and that's Nacho. They want to get Vargas. So in episode 2 is Carrot and Stick. Gus's men break into Nacho's safe at his house, and Mike actually removes some of the cash, and Nacho and Manuel's fake Canadian IDs, those two IDs that he pulls out, he actually pulls those two out, and there are the Canadian IDs on there, and he slips like Manuel's ID in his pocket at that time. And I was wondering, like, and then they bring in this whole other safe too at the time, and it's like, okay, and then they put everything back, and I'm just like, okay, well, what was the point of that? And so it's like, what are they trying to do here? I didn't quite understand why they broke into the safe just to leave it at, just to bring in a whole new one and put everything back. So Mike places all the cash, the fake ID, and the envelopes back in there. Gus views the crime scene photos from down at Lalo's compound and everything, because he's kind of questioning why all of the hired guns, those tactical people that we saw from last season, all of them are dead. So instantly he's like tipped off that, like, why are they all dead? And and they accomplished their mission, but they all died. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right to me. And Mike's just like, sometimes it happens. So, like, and for Gus, this is something signaling in his head that he needs to pay a little bit closer attention to this. So he has all those photos out, looking at all the stuff, trying to figure out if there's anything amiss with all these pictures. And And so he views all these crime scene photos from Lalo's house, and he's definitely not convinced that Lalo's dead. After this, Jimmy meets up with the Kettlemans, which we saw from the first season. It's all coming back around, which is something I really like. And you see that they've set up this like tax preparation place, and you find out a little later in the episode that they're skimming off the top of their clients and whatnot. And so Jimmy wants to use this couple, the Kettlemans, once again. He's trying to use them in order to discredit Howard, and to go along with this cocaine narrative and everything. So he's able to convince them that, hey, there was some wrongdoings the first time in your representation because this guy was on coke, Howard was on coke the whole time, and they were a little skittish, but he ultimately ropes them in and gets them to sign paperwork to tell them that information, and they say, you know what, we're not going to go with you, you're fired, which is something Jimmy knew they were going to do. So they go to Sandpiper Crossing, and you see that they relay this over and to Cliff. So and he is the one that got to see like the cocaine fall out of Howard's locker at the golf course earlier in the first episode. So in his mind, like, even though they dismiss him, they're like, no, there's no substantive evidence to this. We're not going to take a case. We're not going to do anything with this. There's that little thought in his mind, like, something like this is off. I'm hearing this from two different things. Really good little play that they're working with Howard, and I can't wait to see how they resolve this. And Gus and Juan promise to avenge Lalo's death. To Salamanca. They actually sit down with Hector and everything, the main crime bosses and whatnot, and they're like, we're gonna avenge his death. We're all part of the same group here. We all work for Eduardo. This is our thing. If one of us is hurt, the rest of us are hurt. And so Juan, who's the other guy that's there with Hector and Gus, he actually breaks into Nacho's house again, and goes for the safe. And so this is when you're like, oh, this is why they did this. They wanted to set up evidence to show that Nacho was the turncoat. He was the one that set this all up, and it wasn't Gus. So he breaks into that duplicate safe and discovers the motel phone number on that paperwork and everything. And details for, I guess it was from the Cayman Islands too, that bank account statement that we see. And the cousins that we actually get to see a little earlier in the episode when they're down at Lalo's house and everything, seeing all the aftermath and whatnot. And you see them again, and they're searching the motel for Nacho, but he escapes the shootout. He, gets in that truck, hot wires it, does a shoot-off. Really awesome shootout that we get to see. Puts the pedal to the metal and gets out of there. I don't know how far he can go, though. It looked like one of the tires kind of blew up. What do you guys think out there? I thought that it would probably stall him out and he'd have to go on foot or something from there, but we'll have to wait until next week's episode to see that. So Mike has a standoff with Gus, and Tyrus, Gus's bodyguard, he points a gun at him, like straight at Mike, and he's like, this isn't gonna go down as the way you think it's gonna go down. I love Mike. Mike's one of my favorite characters from Better Call Saul. I love his story arc. And just a side veer here about Mike a little bit. Mike is the antithesis of what Walter White was. Walter White always talked about wanting to do what he did for his family. He was trying to set up his family so that they could live a nice life, and he always said he was doing all of this for his family, but it ended up being his own selfish need and pride and him wanting to build this empire. And it was all for him. It wasn't really for his family. It was all for him. And Mike is just the opposite. He's doing all this shit, and he says it's for his family, and it really is. Like, he cares mostly about his family, and he's gotten into this situation to provide for his granddaughter and to provide for his son's wife. So I love seeing that contrast, and I love how much these characters that we saw in Breaking Bad are reintroduced into Better Call Saul and definitely highly developed in this show. That's what I love the most about Vince Gilligan, is he's able to bring these characters to life and flesh them out in ways you wouldn't have thought of. So it makes it really interesting, especially for a prequel series like this, to have those elements of things you didn't quite necessarily understand, and you get to see on live screen. It's really cool. It's very good storytelling as well. So Mike wants to lead a team to find Nacho, but Gus wants to force Nacho to reveal his location by taking Manuel hostage. So that's why, you know, he gets a gun pointed at him and whatnot, and he lowers it down. Him and Jimmy coerce the Kettlemans into remaining silent about smearing Howard. And it's really funny how Kim does it, is she calls like her person at, you know, the IRS and everything to look into what, you know, the Kettlemans are doing right now, because they're committing great tax fraud and everything else. And she gets them to drop it all. She gets them to say that, hey, tell your clients that there was an accounting area, give them what they're owed, and settle it out. So it's amazing how she does that. She is she's the stick in that one. Jimmy wanted to offer them money. That's part of the carrot. But you know, Kim is straight up, you know, just killing it. I love her character. I can't wait to see what happens with her in this final season. I'm very, very much worried about Kim because we never hear about her in Breaking Bad. So I want to see her make it out. I want to see her have a happy life, and seeing that dynamic between her and Jimmy and that toxic relationship that they're in, it is so troublesome. And you see how much they care about each other, but at the same time, it's extremely toxic, and you know it's not going to lead anywhere good. We already know that from, you know, Breaking Bad in the future. So, someone follows Kim and Jimmy as they're leaving the Kettlemans. You see a car at the end. I kind of think, what do you guys think? I kind of think that that's probably Mike in there. It kind of looked like his vehicle. I don't know. I'll have to look at it again. Just watch the episode, so it's all fresh in my mind, trying to figure out what's going on with all this stuff. But for me, we're off to a good start with Better Call Saul Season 6. I absolutely enjoyed both of these episodes. If I'm going to rate these, I can only rate these as a group because I watched them both at the same time. Next week, I'll give my rating for episode 3 on its own. But for this, starting off and comparing this to all the other seasons of Better Call Saul, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 for these episodes. And it was good. There was a lot of really cool shots in there. The story's good, but it's just getting started. We're laying down a lot of groundwork that's setting us up for something later. I would have really liked to have seen the Gene scene, the flash forward as well. We didn't get that, but I understand that, you know, they're going to be doing something different this season. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Well, it's going to be fun getting to see where they go with this. I'm really excited. So that's a 7 out of 10 for me for episode 1, Wine and Roses, and episode 2, Carrot and Stick. So far so good. Really looking forward to it. I'm gonna start to see, like Matt says, he hasn't been able to check it out just yet, but if he does check it out, I will let you guys know what he's thinking, and maybe even get him to record a video so you guys can see his reaction as well. So I want to include my best friend on this as much as possible too. But for now, you know, I will see you guys again next Monday at night. I will upload another YouTube video about the reaction for episode 3, which is Rock and Hard Place, and that one's going to be directed by it's going to be directed by Gordon Smith and written by Gordon Smith. So he directed and wrote. Pretty cool when you get that. But I've really enjoyed these first 2 episodes. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, Fatherly Fandom, and like this video. If you want more of this content, let me know. If you have any ideas for what you want us to cover in the future, just let us know. We're going to be covering Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to be covering, we're halfway through Moon Knight, so we decided not to go ahead and cover that. But we will be covering the Shawshank Redemption. We're going to be going through Doctor Strange after the next week. And then after that, I believe it's, what else? Oh, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi from there. We're going to have a big episode on the weekend. The pre-show episode. I'm going to have watch parties for Obi-Wan Kenobi, so you guys can join us for that. Those will be on Thursdays at midnight. So you're free to show up for those and contribute to the community. We're trying to build this community up so that you guys can enjoy this stuff along with us, and we can all celebrate all these fandoms together. So until then, Thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoyed Better Call Saul season 6, episode 1 and 2. And I can't wait to talk to you about the next episode, Rock and Hard Place. And that one premieres on April 25th, next Monday. So I will see you then. Everybody, have a good weekend.